What's going on, people, and welcome back to Man Knows Football. To those of you that are subscribed, and welcome to Man Knows Football if you are new to the channel. You're here today with myself and Eunice. I did want to get Johnny on, but unfortunately, he is a bit busy today. But you can catch him on a stream that may have already happened by the time this video has gone out. So definitely look out for a Johnny Minerals video, landing it as he always does. It's a shame that we couldn't have him here today, but you already know he's one of the gang. Yeah, we'll definitely have him here at another time. But I'm here with the legend himself, Eunice Talks Football, one of the frontliners for this Blue Coat Out movement, has been doing this ever since it wasn't cool to do so, ever since he was getting a lot of heat from doing so. Yeah, but standing true, standing 10 toes, and believing in the truth, he knew and understood that the people will eventually come round. And that is what seems to be happening at this moment in time. Different type of intro, Eunice. I didn't even expect to be, going on like this. I haven't even spoken about what we're going to speak on the show, but I just felt that the intro was warranted. But yeah, man, how you doing, my bro?
I appreciate that. That's a very unique intro. But yeah, well said. Much appreciated, bro. I'm good.
This is your life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it is. It is. It's funny, yeah, because when I go back and I actually look, yeah, it's mad. I guess I've always been someone to go against the grain. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
I wouldn't have picked up a camera if I didn't want AVB sacked. So that kind of tells you everything about me. Do you know what I mean? I'm always on some sort of movement. So yeah. But this one's the biggest of them all. Biggest of them all. You know, if I ever saw AVB in front of me, bruv, I'd be like, yo, let's take a picture, be full circle, I'd buy him a drink. But if I ever saw Blue Co in front of me.
Oh yeah. I hear you.
I'd be getting a bin truck to come round and pick them up.
Oh yeah. I hear you.
So,
and they're lucky that's all they'll be getting.
Exactly.
So, yeah. But yeah. I have to say this because I did promise my subscribers that we would continue. Well, we would speak about the video that myself, you, and Johnny released on both of your channels. One of the reasons why I didn't put it on my channel was because we were going to discuss that on this channel. However, since Johnny isn't here, it's a bit of a change of plan. So what I've decided to discuss is still in relation as to why this ownership needs to go. More blunders, more embarrassment daily. And it's got, but to be honest with you, Eunice, I'm at a point where these embarrassing headlines and statements, I've just become numb to them. It's just become so regular to see these days that it's just nothing special. But this one in particular, it just really, it got to me because it was another slap in the face of who we are today. We are literally CFC London. Chelsea doesn't exist anymore. And I'll tell you why, because this is the main topic of the video. Iraola, the Bournemouth manager, we all know that he wanted to leave the club, Bournemouth, at the end of the season. Not sure why. They're in sixth place. They could be getting European football, but whatever. It's his prerogative. So the rumours lately have been he's got a choice of two clubs that he's kept, and they're London clubs. So he enjoys the city. And those clubs are Chelsea Football Club and Crystal Palace.
He's linked to United as well. Bear that in mind.
But then eventually it got, from what I'm hearing, the heavy reports were leaning towards he wanted to stay in London. So that's why I didn't.
Well, he wanted to go to London, yeah, because he's in Bournemouth. So London is
true. He wants. Yeah. But I think you still make a valid point because it's Manchester United, and you can never write off Manchester United. You just can't. It would be foolish to do that.
You just got to live in money.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But here's my thing, Eunice. Before we even get to the choice that he's decided to make, the fact that this is a conversation, if we were still Chelsea Football Club, do you think for 1 second that Iraola would even have to think about what club he's going to?
Mate, if this was how it was meant to be, how it used to be, Crystal Palace wouldn't even enter the conversation because they know how it would go. They'd be like, we like him, but we're not going to bother. There's no point.
from
But that's not.
every single perspective as well, football,
Yeah.
finance, everything. But go ahead,
Everything.
sorry.
And you know what's mad? This is how you know it's peak. I've seen the reaction today. Yeah, the feedback today from people about Iraola to Palace. Forget Chelsea for a sec. Just Iraola, Palace. And people are going, what's he doing? Why is he downgrading? He's leaving Bournemouth and he's going to Palace. Like, what's that about? But those people are looking at Crystal Palace only, but not looking at the options on the table and the fact that he's choosing Palace over Chelsea. That's what's nuts. Because if his ambition is, I want to move to London, like if that's a big factor for him, it might be, because let me tell you, if at a level of where you're earning really well, London's the place to be, right? Yeah. To a good extent, right? I'm not talking about right now the intricacies and all that. This guy is well off, but he's also well protected. So we don't need to talk about the threats of crime and all of that. Forget that, yeah? Not like the average geezer with a Rolex on his arm and then you're thinking, oh, he's not safe. I get that, right? But not for Iraola. If you're minted and you're in certain parts of London, mate, best place. Yeah, fantastic. So if that's a factor and he wants to leave the South Coast and his only options on the table are Crystal Palace and Chelsea, and he wants a new challenge, something new. If he's choosing Crystal Palace over Chelsea, it's nuts. It's mental how that's even a thing. But it's not the wrong choice. That's what's mad. It's the correct decision. Like, because you just know if he goes to Chelsea, he's cooked. You would know that. But at Palace, he's going to get a level of authority. He might not get as much. Well, to be fair, he'll probably end up with the same level of resource because right now we're skin. So there's that. It's a challenge to try and push Palace. You could argue to the same sort of positions that Bournemouth are in right now. And this is why people are looking at it as some sort of a downgrade. But if professionally that environment is what he's looking for because it means he gets to go to London, then yeah, good luck to him. Maybe he earns more than he did at Bournemouth. That's a possibility. Maybe it's just his personal preference and nothing more.
And also, people forget, and to some it might sound crazy, but Crystal Palace's recent success is actually better than ours. And it kills me to say that.
Mate, Palace are on course to win the Conference League. That means they'll match us, wouldn't they?
But this is the thing, is that they've already won an FA Cup. Can you name me a trophy that we've won bigger than that since the ownership has taken over?
No. They're about to match us. In fact, if we lose the final against City, they're going to be better than us since Bluco walked in. Because if they win the Conference League, they'll have exactly what we had.
People,
and the FA Cup.
I just want to say this. You are not living in a parallel universe.
It's wild, isn't it?
This is actually the topic of conversation that we are having about this West London club, which I refuse to call Chelsea FC. I believe it's a disrespect to address them as that. Chelsea FC, yeah, that name is greatness. That name, yeah, had respect. That name commanded fear no matter where you went. Yeah, when Barcelona, arguably for some, the best club team to ever play football, right? To some, turn around and said, the one opponent that we hated to face or to be drawn against was Chelsea Football Club. That should tell you something. And this is a Barcelona team with Messi, Iniesta, Xavi, David Villa, you name it. The best of their history in that club. And this is what they were saying about Chelsea Football Club. If you expect me to put that same name on this disgraceful institution that we are seeing today, you are mistaken. This is why I will address them as CFC London until they are out of the door. They have not earned the name Chelsea. They have not upkept the tradition of this club, which they said they were going to do, which is why I refuse to call them Chelsea Football Club. And back to what you were saying about Iraola, and in terms of which is the correct decision to make. Absolutely, it's the correct decision to make.
Yeah.
I mean, the conversation where you would argue it might not be the best is leaving Bournemouth in the first place. Like I said, considering where he's got them to and the fact that they'll be playing in Europe. That's a different conversation. But in relation to Crystal Palace and Chelsea, considering how both clubs are run, Eunice, if we're having honest conversations, in the past 4 years, who's shown more ambition to win? And who's got who's got the better result as a result?
100. Who has more ambition?
I believe Crystal Palace do. Do you know why?
Mate,
Because they're
100%.
trying to win. Even with the limited resources, they still won an FA Cup.
This is
And
it.
that goes to show their mentality is no matter what they've got over there, we don't care. We'll play football over here and we're going to give it our very best.
Without a doubt. And this is where, for what Crystal Palace are capable of pulling off, they're hitting their max right now.
Yeah.
If they win a Conference League, if they win the Conference League, they go to the Europa League, which is what they were initially meant to be put in for this season, if you remember. And they got done. They did get done for that, right?
Yeah, they did.
They should have played Europa League. But even at that time, and I remember saying it, I was like, no, you know what? This could work out in a positive way. Go and play the Conference League because you can win that. And if you win that, you'll get a trophy and you'll play Europa anyway. So, and that's exactly what they're on course to doing now. I think they're going to win it. I don't see a team in there that's stronger right now. Strasbourg are losing to Rayo Vallecano. I think Palace beat Rayo Vallecano. So I think Palace will get the job done. And if they do, yeah, it means 3 London teams would have won the Conference League. At this point, it becomes the London Cup. But with Palace and what they're achieving right now, after having won the FA Cup, even after having won the Shield, let's remember that as well, right?
Oh yeah. For them, that's something that they talk about. Yeah, it is.
That's wild. No, shock in itself.
With our teams, the Chelseas, Uniteds, Liverpools, and that, we bantered those trophies. You know what I mean? But for no disrespect to Crystal Palace, but for them, that's an achievement. I'm not gonna lie, and congrats to them.
You know, we banter it because of what it's called.
Yeah.
But in reality, it's the equivalent of what every country has as a Super Cup. It's as simple as that.
Exactly. Yeah.
It is. It's a league winner against a cup winner. In Spain, that's the Spanish Super Cup. That's a big deal. In France or Italy, that's the French or Italian Super Cup. That's a big deal. In England, we call it the Shield because the what's generated from that goes to charity, so it becomes a charity shield. So it makes it demotes it. But the significance of the fixture and what you need to actually take part in that game means Crystal Palace would have had to win something, which they did, and then they went and won that Shield as well. That's big for Palace. That's huge. That's ambition. You could argue, okay, they didn't back Glasner completely in terms of what he wanted to keep in his team, and he took them pretty far. Iraola is probably someone that's going to not demand as much.
Yeah, I mean, historically, he's said in the press before that he doesn't, he can work with what he's given, so he's not too concerned about what's going on with the transfers. Yep. Which that in itself, actually, do you know what? That in itself is a statement that I've never liked managers to make, especially when you're going to a top level club. Because I don't know, maybe it's because of the time periods and the managers that I'm used to, that I look up to. They've always had the say in terms of what players come to the club. Because there's because the thing is, you can work with sporting directors and stuff, but at the end of the day, the manager's gonna know more than the sporting directors which particular profiles and which particular mentalities is going to suit their tactical approach. Yeah. So for a manager to say that, for me, is not necessarily a sentence that I don't like. However, Eunice, I do acknowledge that is a skill within itself, because not all managers can do that. So, for example, I don't believe, and respect to him, I do see him as one of the greatest managers on the planet, 100%. Pep Guardiola, we haven't seen him go to a Crystal Palace and perhaps overachieve. I'm not saying win the league or whatever. I'm saying even just overachieve with the Crystal Palace. You see what I mean? Because the set of criteria is different. Where Pep has been able to go, he's had elements of control of who is within that team, and he's earned the right to do so. So this is why I say it's a separate type of skill. So I can respect it for what it is, but in terms for like a top club, what I still consider... Well, anyway, yeah, but you understand what I'm saying, bruv. Yeah, in terms 100%. Of a top club, I don't like that approach. But what do you think?
Overall, I think having the capacity to call the shots is important, and I know people undermine it because out of fear of making change, and like you want players that are going to fit any sort of manager that comes in. I get that, but even in order to get that, you need the best.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
example is Chelsea. We had a team that ran over a decade, and yeah, it was built under Jose, but it went through multiple gaffers and held its own because they were flexible to that extent. Even with a change of football under Ancelotti, you saw what they were doing, but
Yeah,
that core strong. I understand if a manager like a Glasner, for example, at Palace wants to keep his best players, and he's like, "Listen, you're cutting my arm off. Basically, if this is the case, if you do that, I'm gonna go." Right? I get that. And we've had Luis Enrique come out not recently talking about how his demand for PSG was that he needs the authority and the control. But in exchange, I will try to implement something which means that you won't need to spend too much. But I have the say.
and you know what? I'm happy you mentioned that, because literally, as you were saying that, I was looking for a particular tweet related to Luis Enrique, and it's actually this one.
There we are.
And this one, I feel, and especially when we're talking the player he's talking about, I think is in some ways even bigger, because Mbappe, for what he was or for what he is, especially at that time at PSG, was the most coveted player, superstar in football. And whether we like it or not, players of that stature have a dominance in whatever team that they step in, right?
Well,
So
yeah.
to be able to remove that type of character, not only is it may be controversial to the fans because of the level of quality that you're going to be losing, but then there's also the marketability side and all this type of stuff that the club has to consider. I say that to say this: the fact that PSG were willing to submit to these terms shows unequivocally that that club is run for football, because
Yeah.
they completely understood the mission. Enrique himself says here, "I would not have accepted the Paris project if all its stars remained. I stipulated a change in approach, granting me what? Full authority." Let me repeat that again.
Yeah.
Granting me full authority. Did he say partial, Eunice?
No.
Did they say 75%?
No.
Did he say 95%?
No.
What did he say?
Full authority.
He then goes on to say, which he has actually done, we will create our own stars. No more spending astronomical sums on players who don't deserve it.
And when you go and look at how much they spent over those 3 windows, I think it was 800 million or so.
How much did we spend?
More than double.
And guess what? PSG's rebuild was done during the period Clear Lake have taken over. Within these past 4 years, since Clear Lake took over the club.
Same time.
Yeah.
And they're in back-to-back finals. And even after yesterday, what did what's his name? Khalifa, the owner, do with Luis Enrique in that interview?
Game. Yeah.
Mate,
yeah.
You know, propping him up, saying, "I want to give a huge thank you, respect to Luis Enrique. I'm proud of him. He's the best coach in the world." That's how you build. You give, take, give, take, give, take together, and look at all of it blossoming now. Now he's hearing that, thinking, "Flipping, oh yeah, no, he let me work. He's let me done this. I'm grateful." He's like, "Flipping, I've got the best coach in the world. Look at this back-to-back Champions League finals." And you know who's muddied in all this? Mbappe. Because even at Real Madrid, you can see it kicking off, and it looks like Mbappe is a key element of those issues right now. Anywhere he's at, it seems like there seems to be trouble now kicking off. So when you look at even the owner being grateful to the approach that Luis Enrique wanted to implement, and he let him implement it, and now the results are coming in. It's work in harmony. Yeah. But it's as you said, it's because they care about football.
Exactly. And this is the thing. People are so, what is it that you want at the end of it? What is it that you plan to achieve at the end of this blue coat out thing? What do you want? This is the question that we're asked. In an ideal world, what I would want, this would be me. In an ideal world, and I know we do not live in a utopia, I would somehow want Roman back. I would somehow, that would always be my first choice because I personally love that man. And you guys understand why. Yeah, as so do you guys. But if you can't get him, this is the type of owner, what we saw yesterday, is at least what I'm fighting for. I won't put words in your mouth, Eunice, but I suspect that you have a very similar one in that type of owner at Chelsea Football 100%. Club. So when people ask, this is what we want, is this what we're going to get though? And now we'd be liars to tell you yes, because we don't know what we're going to get. And that part remains true. However, that doesn't mean that we need to sit down and concede what is going on at the club, watching it burn down right in front of our very eyes, while this ownership take the piss out of not only us, but allegedly other real life people who are going to be affected by this. Allegedly. And if you want to know what that allegedly is about, go on Eunice or Johnny's channel and watch the video that the three of us did, and you'll understand where the allegedly came from. I'm not going to go into depth in this stream because it is very, very technical, and we have to be careful about some of the things that we say naturally. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to go into too much on that. We've done a good job on the previous video. But
allegedly,
here's another. Allegedly. There you go. So here's another question, Eunice. And it's my favorite one. I always like to ask these groups of people this question. So those of you guys who somehow still believe that the change the model thing is still on the cards at this point, don't know how, don't know why, but whatever. Let's concede that that's all you're going for. How is that looking for you right now? Because Eunice, to me, it's not looking good, because if you're talking about changing the model and perhaps improving on what we currently have, do you think that it's a very good start that a non-elite manager has picked a smaller club ahead of us?
This goes hand in hand as to why they can't change the model now. Because they held the keys before, and now they don't hold the keys anymore. Because at the beginning, whilst they had resources, whilst they had funds, if they were serious, they could have gone and blagged their way to a top elite level manager or whoever and go, listen, this is what we're looking to do and do. We've got the resources. We're going to tell you what you want to hear. Come on in, right? And they'll be like, flipping, that was Chelsea. Yeah, all right, big job, cool, no problem. Now, they've exposed themselves after countless examples. Money's blown. There's no resource. So even if you were to give control over, what the hell are they going to do with it? There's nothing they can flip and do with it. So these guys are not stupid. The fact that we know all of this, you don't think they know all of this? They know more than we know.
Exactly.
In the circles that they're in the agencies that they're in, and all of this, and the contacts and networks that they're in, mate. There's things in the football world that you and me can't even fathom is going on right now, right?
No, of course.
And we're grateful to have an element of a little bit of knowledge into this because of what we do. You just you hear things and you see, and you're like, flipping, no, is that what's going on? Like there's elements at least. Most people haven't got a clue. It's mental. But these lot are not stupid. They know within their circles of what's happening at Chelsea after 4 years. They've exposed themselves now. So any top level manager, even player, will look and go, I'm not going near that. But in fact, the one thing that you could have pulled people in with and enticed people in with, which works across the board, is I'm going to give you more money than what you'll get over there. And these lot are not even going to do that. And guess what? They can't even do that now because there's no money. Before, they would have been able to do that and blag it. All right, we really want you. You want to go there instead? Cool. How much are you getting over there? How much are you looking to get over there? Cool. We'll pay you this. All right, cool. You're brought in. If we were operating that way, we would have all the players that we've listed prior that should be in our team right now, which we don't have. Right? We would have had Elise. We would have had Osimhen. We would have had Shirky. We would have had Kvaratskhelia. We would have had Donnarumma. We would have had Guy. We would have had all of these guys. But that's not how we're functioning. After 4 years...
we would have had a lower wage bill.
Yeah. And,
ironically.
And if that's how we were actually running, Luis Enrique would be the gaffer here. But he's not. Exactly. He walked away. Why? These lot are not changing now, specifically, because even if they wanted to, now they can't. Now they can't. They're stuffed.
Impossible.
No one's going to come near this.
And
so change the model is completely and utterly unrealistic.
And, you know, if reports are to be believed, because it's not official until it's official. Iraola hasn't yet signed for Crystal Palace, although the reports are saying that he's favoured to go there. But if rumours are to be believed, that is indeed true. To those of you that are saying, don't worry about Iraola, we're looking to get Xabi Alonso anyway.
Mate.
I'm going to ask you again. If a manager who is not considered elite, who's considered a decent manager at this moment in time, because he's not shit, but he's not elite, he's decent, is going to say no. And then you've got a manager who went undefeated in the Bundesliga, then went on to manage Real Madrid, regardless of how that stint went. That's still an elite. You can't get better than that. Do you really, in your mind, think Xabi Alonso is going to agree with the situation and the turmoil at this club? Honestly, do you really think that Xabi Alonso is going to allow, because it's still very early in his managerial career, although he's been at 2 clubs, it's still very, very early. Do you think he's going to risk tarnishing his name and lowering his value by coming to Chelsea Football Club while the situation is the way it is? And here's the thing, is I understand, and Eunice understands, and a lot of people who understand football will know that the majority of whatever results, even if detrimental results that will come, will not be down to the manager. So, Eunice, how do you see this working out to those people that are saying Xabi Alonso is the number 1 priority anyway?
Right now, in the pool of managers that are available, yeah, you can understand why, right? Xabi Alonso clears all of them. But Xabi Alonso is in a position right now. You see how we're saying that we can't get it wrong this time. It's too late for that. It's already in the ground, right? So people going, oh, we can't get this one. We're stuffed. But let's take that for a sec. We can't get it wrong this time. Do you think he can?
No, of course not.
His reputation's already been hit because he was on such a high at Bayer Leverkusen doing a madness. It's gone to Real Madrid and it's ended early, really early. And you could say perhaps a little bit unfair because it wasn't going so bad to the point where I think he deserved the sacking. However, that's on the footballing level. On a team relationship, level in terms of the dressing room, it didn't look like he held authority there, I'll be honest. It did look like players were just doing their own thing. But that's Real Madrid as well. Like, look, you heard the reports today. Tchouaméni and Valverde had a fight, got sent to the hospital. Like, that's come out.
He got snooze for. Apparently, he was kipping.
It's mental. Like, that's what you're dealing with. So I get, but the reality is, Alonso's reputation has taken a hit. He's been brought back down to earth a little bit. Do you think he can risk coming to Chelsea? Hell no. His next job needs to have complete stability
100%.
for his stocks to rise back up properly. Anyone that comes near this right now is going to suffer because there's no way they're going to be given that authority. They got to work within a certain framework. No top manager can do it.
Here's what I maintain. I think we don't, stating the obvious, we don't end up with Xabi Alonso. These are hypotheticals, people. So I think we don't end up with Xabi Alonso. And I think what ends up happening is Liverpool might end up reviewing Onslaught's position in the summer, considering how this season has gone. Or that
Apparently
Premier
staying.
League. Well, then if that's the case, they exercise the money in the bank with that Premier League. So, you know what I mean? I can understand why they did. So my head was thinking maybe they might review his position, get rid of him, and then Xabi Alonso goes over to Liverpool, which
Yeah,
would make
I thought
the
that.
most sense. Yeah, that's what I thought would happen. So, but then there's the other option. He could just do the Zidane thing, sit down and be patient and wait it out. Because remember, we're in an era where it was not like the 90s where if you didn't have a managerial job and you're sitting at home in the newspaper and waiting for something to come up. Nowadays, there's so many other opportunities. There's social media, there's punditry, there's this, there's that for these guys to make money while they wait for another position to happen. You see it
Yep.
happen all the time. So understand and believe. A manager right now, the stock of Xabi Alonso is still relatively high. And while it's there, he still, in a way, does have a pick of the litter. And even from a career perspective, it would be stupid to choose Chelsea now, considering what you could have.
Yep. I agree.
And if I was him, I would at very least wait until the summer to see what happens.
For sure. For sure. And when you're looking at being able to manage at a high level with certain players, I mean, look at the example. Real Madrid now, we've just explained what's going on over there, everything. You know, the guy they're turning to now, ironically, who's meant to be finished, is actually the one guy that can go into that dressing room and sort them out. It's the only guy. It's Jose. He's going back in. He'll pattern every single one of them. And you know what? He'll do it with the green card of Florentino Perez. Because, mate, you got players fighting each other and sending each other to the hospital now. What the hell's going on over there? Do you know what I mean? It sounds like World War going on in that dressing room. So someone needs to come in with an authority, the respect. At Chelsea, with these owners, with these directors and the puppets that are working under them, you're compromised.
100%.
You're compromised. It's no surprise Maresca walked, got sacked, whatever happened there. Pochettino faced the same issues despite getting things back on track. Anyone that we're linked with of a certain stature not coming near. Luis Enrique turned away. Nagelsmann turned away. It's no shock. But my argument is in order for a manager to come in and have authority, he needs resource. He needs to be able to threaten that if you're not up to it, you're not up to it, you're not up to it. Listen, I'm going to make the call and I'll get you replaced.
Mm-hmm.
We got the resources. We'll get that done tomorrow. Everyone's now on guard. Mate, everyone and their mother knows we ain't got that resource anymore. We're stuffed. So where's the power coming from?
It's going to leave them with the players now because the players, all the chips are in their basket.
So when it comes to a manager, he's walking into this job with his hands tied behind his back already.
Mm-hmm.
That's any top-level manager. Look at Fabregas. Yeah, Fabregas, who's actually started off really, really well at Como. We saw his interview that he done with Rory the other day, and he has full control over everything at football. Everything football at that football club is him. He's got a sporting director that is working alongside him, but he's making the calls. He's making the shots, and he's taking his time because he knows he's got all the time in the world.
But Fabregas has always been a wise person. So you know, I think with him, he's gonna make the best choices for his career, and 100%. I think the next step, and I genuinely believe the next step that he makes will be the correct one for him. I do, because the way he's been speaking since he's taken over Como. Because listen, he could have even himself he could have taken on bigger clubs than where he's at now, but he's humbled himself. He's kept his feet on the ground, and he's kept his word to the squad as well. That he's there to do a job. You know, he's there to also develop, to learn, and to develop himself as a manager, which is only going to be a good thing for Como as well, because if the manager is going to improve, then the team's going to improve, their league position is going to improve. You know what I mean? So on and so forth. So whatever he chooses, best of luck to him. As long as it's not Arsenal or Tottenham, best of luck to him. Do you know what I mean? But I know, Eunice, you don't have the most time left, and I am going to bring this stream to an end, but there is one more thing that popped up on the timeline that I did want to bring up real quick, and it's related to Cole Palmer. So we have Matt Law on his London is Blue podcast. I am by no means a fan of Matt Law or any of these journos. You know how I feel about them, but nonetheless, it's pretty interesting. So I was reading earlier that Chelsea, or Cole Palmer had a price tag, and I wasn't sure what that price tag was. But according to Matt Law here, it says for someone to even start a conversation over Palmer's transfer will take 120 million. Who's doing that? United have got Bruno. I don't really see a market for Cole. Even if the club did consider it, which I don't think they will. Now, here's the thing why I bring this up is because not that long ago, Cole Palmer was considered as untouchable. And not that long ago, apparently we were getting assurances that he was happy where he is. But you know how these stories build up. You know how it goes. If you've been watching football long enough and following transfer stories, you know how these things build up. I'm genuinely starting to think now that he could be gone in the summer. And I don't necessarily agree that there won't be takers for that price. Because depending on how you structure the deal as well.
True. It depends from who. Likely the Prem. What Matt Law did say in that, because there is others from that that excerpt that he was speaking in, saying that Cole is considered untouchable. But you know what? Anyone that's so-called untouchable means nothing to me. Just last year, Enzo was untouchable. Now he's not. So it doesn't make much of a difference. At the end of the day, even Cole Palmer, who not too long ago, a few weeks ago, was speaking and saying about being on board and is happy and all of that, right? So-called backing the project, let's say. Went on to then say that if there's no Champions League, though, things change.
Things change, yeah.
So at the end of the day, everyone, especially at this point and the way that these lot are playing, it looks like everyone's looking out for their own personal interests. If there's a way to get out and get more money elsewhere, they'll go.
100%. Because another factor that we forgot to consider is that when they miss out on Champions League football, their salary automatically comes down.
It's going to take a hit. Yeah, they got cuts.
So there's also that as well. So from all angles, it's not
hard to entice.
Yeah, exactly.
Hard to entice players now. Yeah. This is why now there's even potential talk about Pedro and Barcelona now. And he's been here a year. How mad is that?
And why wouldn't he want to go to Barcelona? Because Lewandowski's almost in his 40s. He can't continue.
Well, no, he might be going because a new deal that's going to be reduced. Apparently, he's not keen on signing.
There you go.
Which is why they're looking at Alvarez and João Pedro, apparently. So, how mad is that?
That's a proper club.
That's mental, isn't it?
That's a proper club. Look at the options that they're looking at up top. You see João Pedro in that Barcelona attack. That improves
work. Yeah.
That not only will it work, it improves them. I genuinely think it improves them because he is a football player, natural Yoga Benito player.
He moves in ways Lewandowski can't really move now.
100%. 100%. And Julian Alvarez, you already know how I feel about this guy.
Yeah.
Because I never ever let the timeline forget when they tried to tell me, certain people on social media tried to tell me, we don't need Julian Alvarez, we have Nicholas Jackson. I'm going to take that to my grave. I will never ever forgive you, people. I will never forgive you. That is an abomination. An abomination. And you need to go and wash your mouth out with soap. Honestly. Yeah. And I'm being very PG and language friendly by saying that. But Eunice, I'm not going to keep you for too long. Thank you very much for joining me on stream.
No problem.
But yeah, definitely Eunice Talks Football. You know where to find him. Links down there in the description. In fact, his channel will be tagged in the title of the video. So just click and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. And yeah, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Smash that thumbs up as well. Leave your thoughts down there in the comments as well. And I just learned, apparently there's this thing called the hype button. Yeah, I'm living in the 18th century on this YouTube things because I've been away for so long. But apparently it does some good things. So if you think this video warrants the hype button, then give it the hype button push. Yeah, and just help out the channel. But yeah, man, thank you very much for joining, people. And as always, it's Blue Coat out. And until next time, We're gone. Latest.